Hi, how are you?
Good. They messed up everything. They told me I gotta put it all back.
You know where we're sitting?
No, I don't know. Just sitting on the sidelines here.
Uh-huh.
I said, I'm just on the sidelines here.
for the,
This one. For the privilege of the floor.
okay, so there are, privilege of the I got these. This is for the public hearing. All right, that's from Paul Sommerfeld. The other privilege of the floor, that's from Paul Sommerfeld also. This is from concerned citizen about the speed.
This one here, see, I mean, she put her name in there, but she said she didn't want to put her name, so just say a concerned citizen or something like that. At least she put her name on there.
Okay, so do you still want to read that without omit her name?
Yeah, don't omit her name,
Yeah,
but
okay.
just still read it because she has her
All
name
right,
on
and
it.
then John and Maria about the cleanup.
That's your brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, he told me he owns that property up by the pond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
I don't think I would have got it this
I
way.
just have a copy of your rescission
okay.
of the loudspeaker.
Okay, yep. No, I ain't, no, he's not reading all that, he'll be here all night reading that. Yeah, receive and file it, yeah.
And then you have this, this is the only copy we have of Mr. Maku's letter.
You can keep that,
Okay, you don't mind that?
you can keep it.
I do.
You can keep it.
Why, you want some?
Do you want me to read that?
Yeah, go on. So that gives you what, like 3 to read?
What's that?
4 to read.
I think so. That's it. And that's
Oh, I know.
nothing too heavy, I don't think.
Richard, Richard. The water districts here, they said you invited them, just that you want to have them speak prior to that, or?
It's just, yeah, just in case anybody had any questions on
Okay.
the one resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Roger.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Thought I was in Jamaica all day.
Anybody up here's got to take a bullet for us, all right?
I don't know, that's why I want to talk about it. Yeah.
Because I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah. Okay.
I brought your old friends back to you.
Oh, there you go.
Randy, we're gonna need you up closer.
Is this something that we got to read tonight?
Yeah,
For the phase 4?
This is from us to the business owners over there.
Sounds good.
Public hearing. This I have for you when we do the public hearing, so you can see that.
Yep.
You got audio on me?
Chief Ortolano, you want to do that on the regular meeting? Yes. Okay, sounds good.
Evelyn, do you have the folder for the public hearing? Did you give it to
Yes.
Paul?
It's right here.
Okay, who's gonna do that? You or him?
He'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do it, and then I'm just going to refer to Richard, just to explain a little bit. I talked to him today about it.
So this was the only other thing that came in, and I do apologize. That's just a cancellation for.
You want to read that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Evan.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we all set, everybody? Got everyone? Council's good? All right. All right, I'd like to call this workshop to order on July 7th at 5 o'clock. Clerk, call a roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Councilmember Lamonto?
Here.
Councilmember Stoyl? Here. Councilmember Nichols?
Here.
Councilmember At-Large Vanden Heuver?
Here, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Certification prior meetings, we'll skip that. Privilege of the floor regulations. Going to communication from the mayor. Nothing at this time? All right, moving on to the two for the communications, Edwin.
Okay, I have 4 communications. Did you want me to go over those now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. The first one is, the Lakeshore Street Route Association would like to advise, after discussions with City of Dunkirk officials, that the annual harbor cruise scheduled for Sunday, July 12, 2020 has been canceled due to COVID-19 regulations for social distancing. We look forward to working with the City of Dunkirk in preparation for our annual harbor cruise scheduled for Sunday, July 11, 2021. Thank you for your cooperation. Best regards, Keith Osman. I have a letter from the Dunkirk Citizens Advisory Committee.
We'll skip that. We'll skip those. We're going to skip those. We'll just read them at our regular meeting.
Yes, sir.
That's good.
Okay, so all of these for the regular meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll just go with communications from public and petitions.
Number 1, notice from Acacia Network. I'm sorry, that was been under communications from the mayor. Number 1, notice from Acacia Network Incorporated regarding the property purchase in the city of Dunkirk for substance abuse treatment services.
We'll just receive and file that.
Okay. Number 2 would be a reappointment of Donna Brisky to the Dunkirk Housing Authority Board.
I'll receive and file that also.
Communications from the public and petitions. Number 1, ratification of request from the Dunkirk City School District to have 4 police officers from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the Dunkirk High School for their graduation ceremony on Saturday, June 27, 2020.
Chief, do you want to, this is a ratification, obviously?
Being the fact that I met with the school board prior to graduation to try and make sure we could have a nice graduation ceremony, which if anybody wanted was wonderful. They had requested these officers, we didn't have a meeting in time. I want to thank the council for responding back to me when I requested this to be put forward tonight. It's just a ratification vote for what has already taken place.
Okay, thank you.
Number 2, request from Paul Trippi on behalf of the Chadwick Bay Ballers 12U baseball team to use Promenshenko Stadium for their Western New York Premier Travel Baseball League home games on July 7, 15, 2022, 25, 27, 26, and August 9, 2020. They've since canceled tonight's in good faith, knowing that they had gotten the request to us late. So they canceled tonight's request, but they want to have the rest of them approved if possible.
Okay, any discussion, council?
I have it. Do they need, there are 6 games that are going to be at night. They have no request for lights.
Well, it's, Marty and I have been talking, going back and forth with the field, trying to prep the fields, and their request is that it's not, if it interferes with our softball season, our league has preference over that. So it said they would use it, they would change their night game to a day game over at Cooksfield. Is that correct?
Yes, while we're in workshop, I'm going to reach out to EJ and Randy. If they have to go to an alternate field, which would be the point, that's in no way to any way of being in shape of being ready yet. So that has to get that grass taken off. And I think they started on that, but that has to get done. But our main objective right now is to get the stadium ready in School 7 for the tournament coming up. But to get that playable for those young kids, we have to get that ready. And, you know, we've got to take that grass off and get it up to snuff. Or the alternative is, there's only like 4 dates that conflict with the fast pitch schedule. They can maybe change their schedule so they can use the stadium. So, EJ, if you could possibly reach out to them and see where we're at. Randy, regardless, the point needs to be done at some phase. Just got to get that scalp, that grass off of there.
We had a meeting with Jason today, he's on it. Got a long list of things he's going to fast track. He really loves having the 2 new people, that Tim Gaine and Steve Sikorsky are just ordered over there, so he's catching up on a lot of stuff. He is essentially February 28th right now. So he's doing everything that he could have been doing, and he's doing the whole park crew doing an amazing job. We'll have it ready.
Randy, the parks look great, so tell the guys publicly. Consider what we went through the COVID. And one of the worst springs we've had in years, which it snowed most of the spring. They did a good job getting it ready for the weekend. Thanks.
Regardless though, if some or all or none, I mean, not none, but if some do need the lighting, do they need to do a separate request to have the lighting there for them?
They would have to go through the permit process over at the recreation. Go ahead.
It's just standard. They call for a double header to use the lights, and that's standard through the years. But we can double
Okay,
check.
just so nobody has any problems with them not doing a request for
Right.
lights.
And you can go through Fraser.
So this is not going to interfere with the local stuff.
No,
what
it
we're
has
trying to
preference over.
avoid.
That's
Yeah.
what, that's what
Yeah, they can't be there.
Yeah, they got to attach.
Nor is league games either. We don't want interrupting that.
Yeah.
That's why we're trying to get alternate fields and.
They have an attached letter to Judge going to that they know that softball and the tournaments have oversee that.
It's 20 minutes. Talking right there.
Good? Okay.
Okay, Chris?
Yep, sure.
Number 3, request from the Laurel Run Planning Committee and the Resource Center for permission to hold their annual Jamestown to Dunkirk relay on Friday, July 17, 2020, with police escort from Fredonia to Washington Park, and to hold a small ceremony at the gazebo at Washington Park after the race. The race should end at Washington Park at about 1:45 p.m.
Before I go to that one, on this number 2, I need a first and a second. Marty, you got that? And Nancy? Okay. Okay. Any discussion on number 3? None? I need a first. Marty? Second?
Nichols.
Number 4?
Number 4, letter of concern from Martha Lukasik of 80 North Ocelot Street and neighbors regarding the proposed playground at the end of Lakefront Boulevard and side streets of Ocelot and Serval.
During the regular meeting, could you read that letter they gave you? Do you have that?
Okay.
Yeah, during the regular meeting, if you want to read that.
I'm sorry?
During the regular meeting.
Okay.
You'll read that.
Got it.
I'm going to have that received and filed, and there's a short letter that was signed by all the neighbors, so I'll just have the city clerk read that. So moving on to number 5.
Number 5, notice of claim from Donald R. Strawman of 6175 Route 20, Portland, New York, for alleged damages to 2 vehicle rims and tires caused by a pothole at 830 Brigham Road on May 5th, 2020 at approximately 6:20 p.m.
I'll refer that to the city attorney and also the Department of Public Works Director. Need a motion? Sponsor?
Mr. Doyle.
Seconded by Bomano. Number 6?
Number 6, loudspeaker application request from Kristen Gloniak of 129 Hoyt Street to use a boombox on July 11, 2020 from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. for a graduation family gathering.
Any discussion? Need a motion? Don, are you raising your hand over there? I can't see it.
No, I
Okay,
wasn't.
all right. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'll second it though.
Nichols and Williams. Okay.
All right, so that's it for communications from the public and petitions.
All right, reports to standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams?
Nothing for here.
Councilman Bomano?
Just one quick thing, it really isn't City of Dunkirk official business, but I work at ECR International, which is the old Dunkirk Radiator, and we're hiring, we need people, so if you can get it out. They go to Adeco and Affinity, and you can call me if anybody have questions. And I'll do that again at the regular meeting.
Okay. Councilman Stoll?
Yeah, just a heads up to the two chiefs. We're having one of our safety meetings coming up. I'll get a hold of both. Well, yeah, you were on there too.
Yeah.
I'll be getting a hold of you guys to go back into the swing of things.
All done? All set?
I just have for here, I just have the economic development meeting will be Thursday, July 23rd at 4 p.m. in the conference room, mayor's conference room.
I have nothing at this time. Just a couple things I'll make at the regular meeting, so we're good. Unfinished business?
Yes, sir. Number 75, resolution for intro number 6 to local law number 6, 2020. City of Dunkirk, a local law to amend city code, chapter 56, section 2, 2040, 2060, 3010, and 3030.
Richard, if you could during the regular meeting, just explain that briefly for everyone?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, going to pre-filed resolutions.
Number 76, resolution authorizing budget line modifications for fiscal year 2020.
Any discussion, council?
Yeah, I think Marcia was supposed to do a new resolution for that. Did you get that? Because I haven't received it yet. Okay. We're gonna modify to what Marcia has, or amend or whatever at the meeting. Can we get that? Yeah, thanks.
And pretty much kept the resolution that we actually talked about in the Finance Committee, and that was sponsored by yourself and Councilman Stoll and Lamonto. And subsequently, you had contacted me about other changes, and you can see after the original budget mod, here are the changes you wanted, just to make it easier. So I'm taking it back out of
We still haven't received information yet, so.
on the
Yeah.
retained council. Okay.
We still haven't received information, so I'm not ready to go forward with it. That's what we talked about. I don't know where it changed. I don't know where it changed from our phone conversation until now. To have a different resolution than what was asked for, but I know Richard got involved and tried saying we could leave stuff, but that's not the job of the city attorney to
Well, this is
sponsor
kind
the
of, this is
resolution.
kind of presented how you had wanted it.
No, I wanted the one line taken out.
Well, it is. It's just, it's an in and an out. So it's no effect to that line.
I'll have to take a while longer to look at it. We'll have to just.
Well, I didn't want to adjust what we actually had put forth, but I just did the change. See, this is the original line. And I'm just letting you see the reference. So I'm taking it back out. And it's other way
Yeah. I thought we did this. No.
Don, if you want to go into executive session real quick, we can do that. Talk about it,
We
see
can do
what
that.
everybody wants to do.
After the hearing?
After the public hearing, we can do that.
After the public hearing, we'll go into executive session. I just need a motion. We'll see what's going on. Okay.
Moving on, sir.
Moving on.
Number 77, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute contract with Travelers Insurance.
Any discussion, council?
Do we need to put, I know the price of it is in the price of it is in the one whereas. Do we need the price in the resolved also, though? That we're going to pay that much? Even though it's mentioned in the whereas? Do we actually need a resolve that says we're going to pay that much?
I think it's necessary.
All right.
We good?
Yeah, I'll just ask again just to make sure so that we're clarified that that's the amount
Okay.
when we're in the meeting.
78.
Number 78, resolution authorizing the creation of a reserved veterans parking spot in City Hall parking lot.
Any discussion, council? Marty?
I'd like my name attached to that co-sponsor.
So you can just put the entire council on that.
Sorry, Mary. Sorry.
Did you guys get that?
Does that have to be amended and voted on?
Richard, would it have to be amended if Marty wants his name on that resolution?
Technically, I mean, all we're doing is adding his name, we're not changing the text of it also.
We're just using, like-
Say revised to just include Councilman Romano.
Okay.
That's
All right. Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Number 79, resolution for ratification of management confidential paralegal position creation.
Any discussion, council?
Yeah, at that time, we just did a little change of wording and stuff in a different resolution, but we'll bring that up to amend it to the wording in the one that everybody received.
It's an amended version.
It's pretty much the same, it's just a little bit clearer of what actually happened.
Okay. Number 80.
Number 80, resolution authorizing $1,500 stipend for IT support liaison Sergeant Manzella.
Any discussion, council? 81.
Resolution for North County Water District contract amendment approval.
Any discussion, council? Richard, do you need anybody, Richard? Do you want to say anything now, or do you want to say something at the meeting, or anyone?
I just want to make sure anybody had any questions with this.
Okay. Yeah. Is there any questions for this, council? Anybody else? That'd be Supervisor Richard Crowe. Okay. 82.
Number 82, resolution authorizing shared services agreement with Dunkirk City Schools.
Any discussion, council?
No, the only discussion I have is to spell my name right. Actually, sponsored by.
You got the A and says, okay, gotcha. Oh, this is something that myself and Marty Bomano, Councilman Bomano, and the rest of the gang here has been trying to get our fields together and try to get shared services with the city school district. We spoke to the board members, not the majority of them, superintendent and the president, and Tim Abbey. So we're all in agreement. I think this money, Mark, is coming out of the CEAS fund, correct? Yeah. So we're splitting the costs and helping each other out in the fields with our crew and their crew. So it's a good thing for everybody, and you know, for our youth and for, you know, the adults, to get them to get some kind of activity this summer. So it's all good. Go ahead.
And piggybacking off of that, that field has been in dire need of dirt for years and years and years, and the dirt they have today, for the minimal price that we're paying, it'll last 10, 12 years, because the usage ain't on that particular field as much as it used to be. And so we're going to get our money's bang for the buck out of that one. And it's going to be not just for city recreation, it's also for the little leaguers use it, the girls use it, gym class at School 7 uses it, so it's used for multi-things for the whole community.
Good. Thanks. Anyone else? Number 83.
Number 83, resolution for appointment of interim city assessor.
Are we pulling this?
Yeah, we have to, because there's only one sponsor.
Okay, we're going to pull this.
You gonna pull it?
Yep.
Okay. That's what we have, sir.
Okay. Any new business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Williams, seconded by Councilwoman Nichols. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Bover.
Aye. Meeting is closed, and we'll go right into our public hearing. Okay.
Councilman, your predecessor used to just read that.
Okay. We'll do that. Okay, we'll start this public hearing at 5:25 on 7/7/2020. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Here.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Here.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Bover.
Here. This is a notice of public hearing. Please take notice at the regular meeting of the City of Dunkirk Common Council held on June 16, 2020. Resolution 75-2020 was presented to the Common Council, which the resolution is entitled Intro Number 6 of Local Law Number 6-2020, City of Dunkirk Local Law to amend City Charter, Charter 56, Sections 2040, 2060, 3015, and 3030. Please take further notice that public hearing will be held on the Resolution 75-2020 on Tuesday, July 7th at 5:25 in the Common Council chambers to hear any interested persons. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all interested persons can submit comments for a public hearing to the council at our website or at the city clerk's office before noon Tuesday on the 7th, 2020. All interested persons must include their first name, their last name, as well as their home address with their comments. Respectfully, City Clerk Edwin Ramos. I'd just like to mention a couple things, and then we'll read the public hearing comments. But Richard, if you can just comment on this, please.
Sure. So I'll speak. I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you speak into the microphone? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Councilman at Large. Essentially, all we're doing is raising the fine rates for the various types of code violations that exist in the Property Maintenance Code, Chapter 56 of the Dunkirk City Code. They hadn't been touched since the early 90s, and so there was a feeling that there was no deterrent effect. You know, they really weren't scaring anybody into compliance. And so basically, we're just raising the rates for each of them, and we're raising the range, so you have a minimum and a maximum, and that hopefully will give it enough teeth so that we have a little more compliance.
Okay.
That's basically all the changes.
Is there any other discussion for Richard, City Attorney, Council? None? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want to read that?
Yeah.
Public hearing. The Dunkirk Advisory Committee would again like to express concern over the holding of public hearings during this health emergency. The process being utilized is limiting the voice of the citizens of the City of Dunkirk. Not all citizens have email. Citizens should be staying at home and not traveling around the city. And with the meeting being closed to the public, limits the ability of our citizens to participate in democracy. All public hearings should be deferred until the public health emergency has abated. The CAC restates our recommendation that rather than performing piecemeal alterations, the Common Council impanel a Charter Revision Commission. The last full charter revision was completed in 1977 and has undergone several changes since then. By impaneling a Charter Commission from a representative cross-section of our city will give us a charter that is fair to all members of our community and will take transitory politics out of the equation. Paul Sommerfeld, Chairman, Dunkirk Citizens Advisory Committee. That's it.
Yep. So we're going to vote on we're going to vote on that resolution?
That meeting, right?
Not at this point?
At the meeting.
No, and during the meeting.
Okay, so during the meeting, we're going to vote on that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, public hearing is closed at 5:29. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Close.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Boer.
Aye.
I'm just as bad as you, Judge. Marty?
Meeting 5/29. Yep.
I'm here.
Should have yelled over here.
Oh my God, I'm writing and talking.
Public meeting is adjourned. We're gonna go in, if you guys wanna take a quick break, and then we can come back, whatever. Get a glass of water, or go to the bathroom, and then we'll start up in a couple minutes on our regular meeting.
We going to executive?
We gotta start the meeting.
Start the meeting first.
I got it. First.
Oh, yeah, come on. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into executive then?
No, I'll just make the motion.
All right, we'll get this rolling here. Everybody all set?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting, regular meeting of the Common Council to order on July 7th, 2020 at 5:36 PM. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Here.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Here.
Councilmember Nichols?
Here.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Here. Please stay standing for after the Pledge of Allegiance also. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to hand the mic over to Police Chief Dave Ortolano.
Just wanted everyone to stand in a moment of silence in remembrance of Judge and longtime police officer David Prince. He's an amazing, caring man who did a lot for others. Passed away on July 2nd, and on behalf of Dunkirk Police Department, our thoughts and prayers are with his family. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Also, on a positive note, a happy note, probably for her, Molly Gainey just retired last week, 51 years of service. She was part of the administration when I was in way back when, so excellent job. She's going to be missed, and we got two great people leaving that office, so congratulations on both. I don't know. Tom, I'm still trying to keep Tommy here. It's not working too well.
I kind of twisted his arm for a moment.
Right. Okay, certification of prior meetings.
This is to certify that an official copy of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, June 16, 2020 was presented to the mayor on Friday, June 26, 2020. Pursuant to Section 3.03 of the Dunkirk City Charter, all items presented to the mayor are now in full force and effect. In witness whereof I have hereto set my hand and the seal of the city of Dunkirk, New York, this 7th day of July, 2020.
Need a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes
So moved.
by Williams,
Second.
by Councilwoman Nichols.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye, carried. Certification of blah, 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 reading of the privilege of the floor.
Since we're closed, I'll just read the privilege of the floor, sir.
Yep.
The Lakeshore Street Route Association would like to advise, after discussion with City of Dunkirk officials, that the annual harbor cruise schedule for Sunday, July 12, 2020 has been canceled due to COVID-19 regulations and social distancing. We look forward to working with the City of Dunkirk in preparation for our annual harbor cruise schedule for Sunday, July 11, 2021. Thank you for your cooperation. Best regards, Keith Osman, Secretary. The Dunkirk Citizens Advisory Committee has a comment on Resolution 83-2020. The resolution has only one listed sponsor. As such, it is in violation of law. We're pulling this. Can I forego this since it's being pulled?
That's what I'd like.
Yeah, pull it.
Concerned citizen regarding speeding traffic on North Servile Street. This is from a Dunkirk resident who would like to remain nameless. Good evening. I am writing this email as a concerned citizen. I would rather not have my name mentioned for privacy reasons. My neighbors and I are very concerned about high rate of speed of people driving down North Servile. Many times they do not stop at the stop sign at Servile and Pine. There have been so much traffic due to it being a dead-end street now that many people do not know it's a dead end. The police have been flagged down and were notified about the car speeding up and down the road, but understandably it's hard to always patrol one specific area. Although more patrolling would be greatly appreciated, especially with the numerous out-of-state license plates that have been noticed driving up and down North Servile. I was talking to one neighbor and it was suggested lowering the speed limit in North Servile and adjoining streets, or opening Ocelot to allow traffic to drive through, or even make Lakefront Boulevard a one-way. Anyway, these concerns can be discussed with council. Next one is city property cleanup request. John and Maria Ramos. This was from today, 11:24 a.m. Dear Common Council, this is a request for the City of Dunkirk property cleanup on Main Street Extension located across from Greco Lane Apartments. We noticed that you have cleaned up the property around the pump station on Main Street Extension, and since you have done a diligent job, we are requesting that you continue to clean that area. We are having interested parties looking at the area for development and would benefit the city. Your consideration in this matter would be greatly appreciated. Sincerely, John and Maria Ramos. Property address is 10633 Bennett Road Extension, Dunkirk, New York 14048. To the City Clerk, City of Dunkirk, New York, please read the following communication at the next council meeting. Thank you. During Mayor Rose's term of office, he was to build up our downtown shopping districts, but as of yet has been done. All the downtown district shows is one vacant building at a time. The facility is located at Central Avenue and the 300 block for the non-taxpayers will be moved to a new building at Park and 3rd, leaving more vacant stores in the downtown area. Another new facility will be going into the Weiss Hardware Store building. With the assistance of Mayor Rose's, the Buffalo-based drug clinic will be moving into those spaces. The city residents did not want the clinic in the city of Dunkirk, but it seems the mayor didn't listen to those residents. Now, what do we have in our lost town area, or in our downtown area? A building for non-taxpayers and a drug clinic for those from all over this area while Fredonia grows with their new downtown area, and also taking our hospital. What is left in Dunkirk? Only Mayor Rosas can answer these questions. What a sad situation. Richard Maku, past member of the Dunkirk City Council. City of Dunkirk, Mayor Rosas, Common Council at Large, Vanden Hoover, and Dunkirk Common Council. My name is Martha Lukasic, City of Dunkirk taxpayer and homeowner of 80 North Onslaught Street. Since finding out about our city's plans to install a new playground at Wright Park, I have been in contact with several of my immediate neighbors and also Dunkirk Common Council members Don Williams and Nancy Nichols about my concerns. None of my neighbors nor my family have received any notification from our city about specific plans for the proposed playground, which has led to many questions for those of us who own homes in this area. The corner lot has been surveyed for the prep of building. The playground is surrounded by 3 roadways that, especially during recreational seasons, have regular traffic. Onslaught Street, Serval Street, and Lakefront Boulevard are all at the north end of a family recreational area. Seasonal usage of this area causes a lot of traffic on all roads mentioned. These activities include, but are not limited to, usage of the Wright Park Beach and Lake Erie Waterway, Cliff Star Skate Park, Splash Pad, Beach House Grill, Sand Volleyball Court, Little League Baseball and Softball Fields, basketball courts, pickleball courts, as well as the Wright Park Family Picnic Area. There's very limited parking, which also causes an increase in traffic and drivers making poor decisions. We are concerned for the safety of children if the playground goes in here as opposed to perhaps across the street in the area where the above-mentioned activities are already happening. There used to be a playground there for decades. I have tried to communicate my concerns with Councilman Don Williams and Councilwoman Nichols. My neighbors and I have discussed and continue to add more concerns to our list. We are disappointed that as taxpayers, the City of Dunkirk has not contacted any of us prior to or during the process of choosing this location. We would welcome the opportunity to have our questions answered and have input, if possible, before the decision is final. Question mark location, question mark lighting, question mark fencing and security, question mark property maintenance, question mark hours of usage. Thank you for taking the time to read my letter with support from my neighbors. Martha Lucasic. And there's approximately a dozen signatures on there, sir.
Okay, thanks.
May I ask a question here? Rebecca was on that, wasn't she?
Yes.
I thought she had, did she not have meetings with those people?
No.
No, Martha's contacted us and said that nobody stopped by to talk to any of the neighbors about it, and that's why they sent the letter, and they have been asking for a few months about trying to talk to them.
Okay. Hey, guys, before we start this meeting again, I'm going to direct a question to me, and I don't want everybody jumping on everyone, okay? Thanks. Go ahead, Mayor.
I just want to say that we have not had the public presentation, and that information was relayed by Rebecca to this council. I was CC'd on that email. Due to the COVID-19, we were not able to have the public presentation to get some feedback from those neighbors, and those neighbors received that information as well. So that public presentation has not been done. The playground may be put where Martha is requesting for it to be put. Rebecca and I have had discussion on that already, but we're going to be looking at getting more feedback from the neighbors.
Thank you.
Mayor, is there anything else you want to remark or comment on any of the other stuff?
The only thing I can say is the city is not involved in private purchases. The Chautauqua Center made a purchase in the city of Jamestown. They expanded their services there. It was right in the heart of the city downtown. They're doing the same thing here in the city of Dunkirk. And as far as our downtown area, our development department has been working very hard. Obviously, this COVID-19 has hit every community hard, but we are working hard. I'm very confident that our downtown area is going to come back. We have a lot of initiatives going on in the city and the surrounding areas that are going to bring some spin-off to our downtown area. So I disagree with Mr. Mako in his comments. As far as the clinic goes, again, the city is not involved in that. That's a private purchase from a buyer and a seller. And the clinic is in a location that personally I think is probably one of the best locations in the city for the clinic. As far as the need for those services here, ladies and gentlemen, people are dying. They're dying. If you're not reading the papers, our experts here in the county of Chautauqua have stated publicly that these services are desperately needed. New York State just came out with their report, and Chautauqua County ranked as one of the highest counties with these issues that we're dealing with. So, again, I disagree with his comment there as well.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. EJ, do you have anything you want to comment on that?
Just to add, just adding to the Wright Park piece, that came out of a Wright Park feasibility study that we'd done in 2017. We got the first phase, Wright Park Phase 1, where we did the splash pad and everything out of that particular study. Phase 2 was the playground piece. Through that feasibility study, that particular location was determined that it would be great to tie the beachfront in with that park. That's kind of where that came out of. So we presented that a few times at economic development meetings, so we were all on the same page with that. I know Rebecca has been in contact with Ms. Lukasik, both on the phone, through emails. I've seen the email traffic, so I know she did leave it at, as we move forward, we'd certainly involve them in any public piece. So I just wanted to make sure that we cleared that up.
Good, thank you very much. Council members, you want to remark on any of the public hearings? Councilman Stroll?
Yeah, I just wondered, somebody asked me this, and it seemed like a pretty damn good idea. Did anybody ever consider Lakeshore Hospital for this rehab? I mean, it's, whoever can answer me.
Okay. I think Lakeshore Hospital was considered for this as well. But again, the city is not involved in that process. That's a state initiative. And again, the purchase being made in the city was between the seller and the buyer. So we were not involved in it.
But somebody asked me the question, I thought it was a pretty good question. I mean, there's a whole facility.
They were looking at, the city of Jamestown wanted one, the Lakeshore Hospital wanted one, and you know, the spot that was chosen strategically. So again, the city was not involved in choosing this.
Thank you. Yeah, Tom?
It said in the paper that there were high costs involved in bringing people in, taking people from the Dunkirk area to Buffalo for this rehab. Now, is this clinic going to serve just our area, or are they going to bus people in from Buffalo also?
That's a very good question. I wish I knew the answer. I would imagine that the clinic would serve not only city residents, but others as well, regionally. I would imagine that that's what's going to happen.
If these people get bussed in, are they going to be taken back home, or are they going to start living here?
Very good question. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
It's probably something that we could probably call that letter that we had that's taken over, and those are good questions to call and ask. Good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I just have a question, maybe EJ, since Rebecca's not here. With this being already the 7th of July, and our boulevard has not been repaired through the FEMA and the COVID-19 hitting everything, could we just almost assume that the playground out there will not be built this year? And that we should get the Lakefront Boulevard up and functional first before we look at more construction out in that area? Okay?
So the pool of funds that were being used for the repair of the wall are federal FEMA funds. We were very fortunate to receive that. Had we not, we would have had to probably raise taxes to fix and repair that wall. That's a separate project from the state-funded project at Wright Park. I believe that the Wright Park project is going to be moving forward as soon as the state gives us the authority to move forward with it. The FEMA project, we are waiting for their final approval. They were here 2 weeks ago. We expected to get their final approvals this week, and we're still hoping for that to happen. As soon as we get their approvals, my understanding is the contractor and the engineers are ready to start working.
So we still don't have the funds, right?
For
We don't have
FEMA
the funds in-house.
For FEMA?
Yeah.
No. We have been told that we're going to receive funds, but they have to wait for the process to get their final approvals.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
That wasn't an answer. What I was worried about is all the construction that's going to be taking place down there on Lakefront Boulevard for the residents that are living there, whether it's the repair of the wall down on Lakefront Boulevard and then the construction of the playground. They should, if the state can hold back and not proceed with that until after the seriousness or it loosens up with COVID-19 so that you can have your public hearings with the people that live down there, and then make sure that FEMA comes through and gets at least that road passable before they proceed with a playground. That's the question I was trying to get across.
So your question is it possible that we...
To hold it off till next year with a playground, and hopefully everything will subside somewhat with the COVID-19 so that the families can get to the residents, the taxpayers down there can meet with the group of people for the playground and let Lakefront Boulevard proceed in getting repaired.
I understand the concern, and what I can do is look into this to make sure that if there's any safety concerns and we need to postpone it, then we will. I believe there's going to be a timeline for us to use these funds, so I don't want to jeopardize losing the funds. But if it is a safety issue, then we'll have to jeopardize losing the funds. But in my opinion, again, I don't see that it would be any worse than what we saw last year at the pier. So I really don't think that it would be an issue. But again, I would have to look at it with our professionals and weigh in on their opinions too.
It seems like we had this discussion last year. Nobody's was living on the pier. You're talking about disrupting lives that are on the Lakefront Boulevard.
The playground is probably going to be built in the park, and we don't have residents living inside the park.
All right, this...
Never
Mayor,
mind.
just
Never
if-
mind,
if you
Paul.
can
It's
get
okay.
back, if
It's
you can
all right.
just look into it and get back, thanks. Go ahead, Marty.
I had a comment about one of the persons on Circle Street that didn't have their name. I agree with lowering, the Councilman Wynn's lowering the speed limit down there. And back in 2016, when we came on with the mayor and Councilman Williams, we talked about putting a road down there, going behind the old pool and attaching it to Warsaw. And I think that would be a good idea to eliminate some of the traffic problems we have behind the Little League field in School 7, especially during their times of the season, because you got to do that old square to get around. And when we're all old enough to remember when you could drive through by the pool. This would even be a safer, I think, going beyond where the pool's at, going straight off Serval Street and straight onto Warsaw. I think that would be the safe bet. But to get there, maybe we should lower the speed limit. Just something we can bring up in safety.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we'll, take under consideration when we all sit together and meet, and all together, I'm sure we'll come up with a safe way and whatever benefits the city of Dunkirk, so I'm good with that. Thanks. Anyone else? Moving on. Okay, go to communications of the mayor, including disapproval messages. Anything, Mayor? Okay, thank you.
I have to read two.
Yep.
Number one, notice from Acacia Network, Promesa Incorporated regarding property purchased in the city of Dunkirk for substance abuse treatment services.
Receive and file.
And number two, reappointment of Donna Brisky to the Dunkirk Housing Authority Board.
I'll receive and file that also. We'll move on to number 6, communications of public and petitions.
Number one, ratification of request from Dunkirk City School District to have 4 police officers from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the high school for their graduation ceremony on Saturday, June 27, 2020.
We can just receive and file this also, but Dave, do you need us to vote on this or just on the ratification?
Ratify, sir.
Okay. I need a motion to ratify this then.
I think we should ratify it just to cover it.
Yep, Williams, second by Nichols.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried. Number 2.
Number 2, request from Paul Trippy on behalf of Chadwick Bay Ballers 12U baseball team to use Promenchenko Stadium for their Western New York Premier Travel Baseball League home games on July 7th, 15th, 20, 22, 25, 26, 27, and August 9, 2020. They have rescinded 7th in good faith because they know that they put this in a little late, sir.
Okay. Any discussion, Council? Councilman Bomano?
I know there's 4 dates that conflict with their schedule. With the Dunkirk Rec Fast Pitch League will be on some of those days. I would like to direct it to EJ if he could reach out to them and let them know those 4 dates ain't gonna work, and I'll let you know what those dates are. And they also said maybe they could possibly use the Point Field. The Point Field is far from being ready yet, or they can, we could try to get that ready for them at a certain time, or they can reschedule some of them games at the stadium at a different time. I think they got some time and they can wiggle room between now and the end of their season. That's all I got, Paul.
All right, I need a motion to refer this to, we'll refer to the city attorney and youth and rec.
TJ.
Marty and me.
Yep. First by Bomano, second by Nichols. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried. Number 3.
Number 3, request from the Laurel Run Planning Committee and the Resource Center for permission to hold their annual Jamestown to Dunkirk Relay Run on Friday, July 17, 2020 with police escort from Fredonia to Washington Park, and to hold a small ceremony at the gazebo at Washington Park after the race. The race should end at Washington Park at about 4:45 p.m.
Any discussion, council? Need a motion to refer to my appropriate department as well as approved subject appropriate insurance as usual conditions by Bomano, second by Nichols.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
Number 4, letter of concern from Martha Lukasik of 80 North Ocelot Street and neighbors regarding the proposed playground at the end of Lakefront Boulevard and side streets of Ocelot and Service.
Yeah, was the letter just read? We'll receive and file that.
Yes, sir. Number 5, notice of claim from Donald R. Stallman of 6175 Route 20, Portland, New York for alleged damages to 2 vehicle rims and tires caused by a pothole at 830 Brigham Road on May 5th, 2020 at approximately 6:20 p.m.
Need a motion to refer this to the city attorney and Department of Public Works Director
Stoyl.
by Stoyl, second by Bomano.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
Number 6, loudspeaker application request from Kristen Gloniak of 129 Hoyt Street to use a boombox on July 11, 2020 from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. for a graduation family gathering.
Need a motion to refer to appropriate departments as well as approved subject and appropriate insurances and usual conditions by Nichols, second by Williams.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vanden Heuvel?
Aye, carried. Reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams.
I'm going to kind of go off of a lot of what we did through the privilege of the floor. I had a very lengthy conversation with Mrs. Lukasik the other day, and I really believe that as long as we reach out to the family and the neighbors and just keep them in the loop of what's going on over there, I think they'll be quite satisfied with everything. I think their frustration is a lot of not hearing anything for long periods of time. So I do understand that COVID has a lot to do with it, but you know, I still think that the communication with them will be a very good first step, and that'll alleviate a lot of the problems that we might have. Clinic, while we're talking about the clinic, I just want to say I feel very fortunate that I don't have anybody in my life that needs that clinic. But I have talked to a few different family members of people that lost loved ones to addiction, and I'm not going to tell them that we don't need it here, because they say that if the clinic was in Dunkirk years ago when their children were going through addiction and having to go to Buffalo to be treated, that they believe that their loved ones would still be here today. So like I said, I'm not going to argue with them on that. I don't know enough about it, and I'm, knock on wood, I'm fortunate enough that it hasn't affected my family personally. There are a lot of people that are against it. I've heard that. The opinion out there that I've heard is mixed, but like I said, the most passionate ones are the ones who have actually lost family members, and I don't see how I could look at a family member like that in the eyes and tell them that, no, you're wrong and we don't need this here. So with that being said, I believe that the location that's been chosen, I mean, you look around the entire city, any place that you can look at for that clinic to go, I don't see any place that it could go that would affect people less than right where it's at. It's in the middle of a business, whatever district down there. There's not much, it's not in a neighborhood, it's not close to a real, like anybody that owns a house or whatever. Dunkirk Housing is a block away, a block up the street. The school is 2 blocks away. So although people will not be happy with it, I'm sure that they understand that this is a private deal, and the city wasn't part of it, and we didn't bring it in here, but it's here, and let's hope that if it saves one life, then it's all worth it, because we don't want anybody to die from that. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents on that too. Lakefront Boulevard, we have all those Jersey barriers down there. Randy, do you know if we could make that safe at all to get the Jersey barriers to kind of block the sidewalk and maybe push all the debris that blew off? Can we move that yet? Because at one time we couldn't move anything because we needed FEMA to get here, but now that they've been here, can we move it around? And at one time we also talked about having the contractor do the work in an area and then just kind of drive around it. Can we still look at that to open that area up, or does that have to stay closed until the work is done?
The answer is we will try to do all those things, Councilman. I thought that I would take a walk through that area and see if we can make it a one-way during construction. I'm waiting it'd be nice if I was interrupted right now and got permission from FEMA to get going. We were told to leave everything pretty much the way it is until they told us that we can go. We don't have a lot of money in the bank that we can front this, and we would put the grant from the federal government at risk if we did much. So I'm afraid of that. But we have been pushing ever since this happened on Halloween night, and here we are half a year later, and it's not right.
but we can't do it without the federal help. So if anybody wants to contact their federal representatives and put in a word, I know that everybody in the administration's doing that. I'm doing that every day. Andy Bone's doing that every day. We're pushing as hard as we can. And then we will clean it up. It would be nice if we could make it multi-use. While they're doing the repair, that we could also make it a one-way, well-marked area. We talked to the police chief today. He thought that was a good idea, provided we can do it right. So I think I got.
Yep, you might as well stay there though, because I got a couple other ones.
I'll stay there for all of us.
When Mr. Ramos sent the letter in for the privilege of the floor, I've been asking for a while. I don't know if he's meaning to clean up more than what I've been asking for, but that whole length from probably the dog park to Vineyard Drive is completely overgrown with all that, whatever the species is that you say is growing out there all the time. Can we get all that cleaned up? It looks like somebody tried to mow on the roadside of the guide rail there up near Green Street or something up there, but can we get anything to get in there to clean all that tall, nasty grass up there? The deer are sometimes on the move, and the more we clear out up there, the more of a chance that we have to see if a deer's coming out in the road so that people don't hit it. And I think that might also fall in line up the road with a little bit of maybe what John was talking about to try to clean up there. But just wanted to say that since he mentioned it, that is something that I've been asking for probably since spring and maybe even since last fall.
And Jason in the Parks Division sent one of his new workers, Mr. Satorsky, up there with a brush hog. And Mr. Zatorsky had a little bit more energy than the brush hog did, and the brush hog is in for repair. Mr. Zatorsky's doing just fine. So once we get the two back together, we'll get that. So it is trimmed up pretty well in some areas. So the people that remark that, yeah, it is good in some areas and not others, it's because the piece of equipment needs some work.
Okay.
And the species is Japanese knotweed and Australia Phragmites.
All right, yes, I remember something like that. Also, in different times that I've gone for a ride around the city, I noticed that there's a lot of signs that are quite faded, especially down in the Wright Park area. Can we, once that phase 2, I think that's what we're in now, or going to try to go into for cleaning or fixing things and constructing things, can we also get new signs added there? There's some around that field behind the stadium that have been faded for a couple of years. There's some down that road that goes down to the wastewater treatment plant that says no parking on that side, but you can't even see that, and people are all parked in front of it. So if we could get new signs up, that would help. They were put up there at some time, so it would help get it so that people can see that they actually shouldn't be parking there, and whatever else is out there that they can't see.
Oh, Councilman, you're absolutely right. And I'd like to thank the council and the mayor and Human Resources for working together to fund and interview. We have 3 new 912 workers that are going to join the street department as soon as they get through the process, and that's going to free up some time. We have Mr. Propelia, who introduced in-house sign making. We do an excellent job with those. We have Mr. Doug Owens, is one of our great street division workers, and we will address inventorying those signs and making them correct. So good, very good point, and we'll get to it.
All right, thank you. And then my last one isn't for you, but you can stay there though, because it sounds like the rest of the council might ask questions.
Randy,
Get a closer chair.
Randy, don't leave.
With the one letter that we received about the speed around North Serval Street, I would like to show up to the safety committee meeting when you have it, Councilman Stoyl, and talk about, I have talked about it the last couple meetings, trying to put the speed limit down to 15, and was talking to Chief Ortolano prior to the start of this meeting that a good way to put it would be 15 miles an hour from on Wright Park Drive from Pine Street down around the stadium, all of North Warsaw Street, and that Pine Street from North Warsaw Street to North Serval, and then all of North Serval. So if we could put it to 15 miles an hour through there, I think that might slow things down enough so that any of the kids playing there and the families there that have kids that would also be going out playing on different things, whether they live there or not, whether they live in that area or they're coming from elsewhere to play, then it might keep it a little bit safer so that the cars aren't speeding through. I know from where I live, it seems like people want to go 0 to 60 just to get from Pine Street on Lemming Street down to Lakefront Boulevard, and they got to turn around because there's a couple Jersey barriers blocking the end there. Then they turn around and then they try to go 0 to 60 back up to the stop sign, and you know, I can just imagine when they have a lot further to go than what they do on my street for it. So if we could do that section, to me, I guess that would be a good start.
I agree. We'll talk about it in public safety, but I think with the fact that we have the school bordering Warsaw and Serval and then the ball fields around Pine Street, especially the Little League fields, I don't have any issue with the 15 miles an hour in that area. We'll talk about it with our public safety.
I mean, even if we did the part that isn't now 15 miles an hour, even if we did that just as like April 1st to November 1st or whatever, because they're not cruising down there like they do in the summertime, but either or, all the time would be fine with me too,
I
but
think we're probably better off to do it all the time so
okay.
it's not confusing, but I think that's a great idea, especially around the Little League field. I'm in favor of that, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And then the one last thing isn't so much a question for anybody, it's more of just a comment. One of the things, actually it wasn't read, so I'm going to just not do that. So we'll stop there because that comment wasn't fully read at the privilege of the floor since we pulled that one resolution, so I forgot to cross it off my list. Thanks.
Yeah, I just like to add, I think everybody's on board with lowering those speed limits around, especially where the kids are playing in the ballparks and stuff, so, yeah, that's a good question to bring up. Councilman Bomano.
Yes, I have a few things. Randy, not yet. I want to piggyback off Councilman Williams about the clinic. 2 years ago, this got brought up, and a few sites were mentioned. You know, they were saying no here, no there. Brooks Hospital was one of them, and then middle school, there was an issue with that. Is there a need? I think so. I know one person that just passed away. I don't even know if it's been a year yet. And prior to that, him passing away, and I'm not going to name any names, everybody here probably knows who it is. He expressed the interest that we should get a clinic. And then I used to play Santa Claus to one young girl, and when she grew up and got in her teens, she passed on because of this. So, yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like the location. Now that we're going to get another location on 3rd Street, Chautauqua Center, and we could get some other businesses, smaller businesses possibly spinning off of that. We just don't know where this could go, so I think it's a great idea. Randy. Sorry. Not really a question right away, but I want to thank the Parks Department for what they did to get everything ready in the parks and throughout the city over the weekend. The beaches look great. They caught up on the mowing. Considering the spring we had, and because of the COVID, we couldn't bring any people on, and we had to work with less people. That was a great job with Jason and his crew. How many seasonals do we have working now?
Got a half a dozen, and let me expand a little bit on that.
Sure.
In order to get that done, it wasn't just the Parks Division. All of Public Works split up, worked together, everybody stayed on the job, and nobody called in. They showed up and picked up your garbage, things like that. When we needed somebody to watch the brush pile, we borrowed somebody from the wastewater plant. People at the wastewater plant kept your wastewater treated, no violations during that period of time, even though they were tightly staffed. Your water has been, you probably heard me talk about Dunkirk having pretty good drinking water before. Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, we heard that.
Oh, okay.
We agree with you, Randy.
All right.
I just canceled before.
Okay, but we all work together, so it's the Parks, thank you for the Parks Division, but I'd like to thank Mike Popelia up at Streets, and Bob Laurie at Water, Rob Curry at Water Maintenance, and Bill Moore down at Wastewater, and anybody I might have missed. It was a team effort, thanks.
One more thing I want to ask you. Thank you for getting our situation with shared services with the schools, getting us some personnel over there. And is that ongoing now?
It was a pleasure to work with you and Councilman Vandenboer to get the connection. We had one little hiccup, but we took care of that hiccup within a few minutes. And we got a good thing going forward. It's going to be great.
Okay. Thank you. A couple other things I want to touch on, like Chief Orlano was saying about graduation the other day. That was a very nice graduation, beautiful day they had. First time they ever went outdoors. There was no problems, no issues whatsoever. Yeah, and I agree, Mr. Malechko. I think that is something, they're on to something. Especially, hopefully we'll be out of this COVID next year and they can get the people in there instead of standing around the fences and everything. But that was just great. And one more thing, I'd like to thank the mayor and his staff through development and the county getting ECR a long-term, helping ECR get a long-term pilot, which includes with that'll be upgrades going to ECR International at the plant, and they got to maintain a certain staffing. While I'm talking about that, I work at ECR, which is the old Dunkirk radiator. We are hiring right now, so we need some people. So anybody's interested, they can call me, but they have to apply at Adeco or Infinity. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Stoll?
Randy, you're on. You must be the busiest guy in town. I had Al, did Al forward some messages to you about 1021 Central Avenue?
When I put my head down to take a note, it doesn't mean I'm falling asleep.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Thanks for taking the joke.
Because they've got paperwork that's got your name assigned to it. They got DEC papers, they got this, where you cleaned the creek out. It's right across from Holy Trinity School.
Al, did you send me that? Okay. All right.
And you're probably, Richard's going to get involved with it somehow, because they got paperwork that's why I've dragged Al up there. I'm putting it on somebody else.
Okay.
And how about Grant Avenue? Is there any thoughts of doing something on Grant Avenue?
Grant Avenue was on a schedule to be paved last year. We didn't quite get to it. So we have a couple, I think the Public Works Committee and I have had a good discussion about what we want to do. I mentioned a few last time. I forgot to mention Lemming Street, and I called the councilman right after that meeting, and he said, I knew you didn't really forget.
So, at least something, even filling potholes, do something. These guys are...
Grant Avenue, in my opinion right now, from the roads I've driven, is probably the worst road in the city.
Yeah, they would agree.
Yeah, and then we've usually hit I don't know if you remember the Harrisburg area. That road, a couple years ago was the worst road. We hit that one. If you've been through there lately, it's now one of the best roads in the city. It's holding up well through the winter time. So not only do we want to fix it, we want to fix it right so that it'll last a good long time. It needs drainage improvement. What happens is when water sits someplace, the road falls apart.
Yeah.
So we got to fix that.
Then the folks on Ocelot Street they're being told that they're on the emergency list. They're moving to the front of the list, but I don't know how long they've been told that, but.
Right, that Ocelot area, it was a part of the city that was kind of an add-on, in my opinion, without proper drainage before the roads were built, things like that, so we got to retrofit it. So we've done that. Councilman Nichols and I have gone through the 4th Ward and found a couple places like that need extra receivers too.
Yeah.
So I got Andy studying that. We've got a long list. We'll have to try to figure out what we do in what order, and what we contract out, what we can do in-house. We've got a very skilled workforce, so I'd like to keep as much in-house as possible, but it does take a little bit of time to get through the list when you do it that way.
And we're talking about the Main Street thing, you know, cutting the brush down and everything. I see our dear neighbor, Mr. Pearl out there. I believe their men are equipped with that mower that goes down.
This right now is the town of Sheridan's, ours is broke.
Nah, never mind, you're in the same shape we are. No, you got a lot for sale up there, trucks. It was worth a try, Randy, I thought.
We will ask the town of Sheridan if we can borrow their brush hog.
Just down Main Street.
Yeah.
Then they would have harder trouble throwing out their rubbish on Main
And
Street.
we'll tell them it was recommended by the supervisor of the town of Dunkirk to get it. So
Yeah.
we'll work, yeah, we'll get it. Thanks, Dick.
Thank you, Randy,
Thank
that's
you.
all I
Yeah.
Council Sully, all set?
Yes,
Thank you. Councilwoman Nichols?
Randy, I'd like to thank you and the guys for taking care of Upper Lord Street. The residents there are forever grateful that all the potholes there were filled. They can have a smooth ride into town. But then the second note is, if you could just check out 7th Street where Main turns into 7th, the entrance there's probably 9 big potholes. Uh-oh.
Oh, I just want to listen carefully and write it down.
Okay, don't fall asleep.
Thank you. That's going to be a forever joke between us. Thank you. She's a pleasure. We talk every day, and we try to, at the end of it, we talk serious stuff, but we usually try to put a laugh in there.
We do. It's a pleasure to work with you. And the lights under the railroad overpass, what takes them so long to get them repaired?
I got a call from another councilman about that today, and I sent I moved up the ladder.
To what, 30th?
Well, no. We happen to have a patrolman who has a pretty good connection with National Grid. So I put that patrolman in the email chain. I went to National Grid, and I also put the patrolman's boss in that chain. So, and the last time we did that, we got lights up on Howard Avenue that we've been waiting a long time for. They were done the next day.
Yep.
So for both that and for the one that I got called on today, I moved it up with some urgency, okay?
Well, it's just a safety too.
that fella you're talking about, he helped me out on Jefferson. That's a dead-end street.
Sounds good. We got a good crew. Sometimes you just have to communicate with a few more people. We'll get her done.
Sometimes you gotta go above.
The other issue was, remember when we discussed it before about the logs out in the lake, and I don't know who, was it the state that had to come in with someone to get them out? There's more and more and more. My son has a boat, and he was out the other day, and he said, you really have to be very, very alert when you're out there, because there are so many that are stuck on something and can't move, and if you don't see it, if you just blink, you could hit it. And I worry about the jet skis and everything and how fast those go.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing phenomenon, the way that most of those trees come from Canada Creek and work their way around Point Gratiot and then come back to shore or float out in the harbor. And what I'm going to ask is the Coast Guard to patrol that and mark those, and if they can tug them close to shore, we can grab them and take care of them. But we don't have a big boat that can pull them in, but they are a hazard to navigation. They are not part of the waters that the city owns. They're part of the federal waters. So I will be notifying the Corps of Engineers, which is in charge of federal waters,
Right.
and also the Coast Guard. I tell them we got hazards to navigation there. And then we'll talk to our federal officials that can talk to these people and try to get those things. If they'll pull them in, we'll take them out and grind them up and get them out of the way completely. So totally agree with you, but it really, over the years, the amount of money that's been taken away from the Coast Guard and the Corps of Engineers to do things like this has been frightening. We had to take the trees down on the federal break wall that's way out there, that's been there since 1836. That's something they used to maintain that, and we had to pay, to take care of that. And it was a good maintained, so it's gonna, make it last longer, but I'd like to see the federal people work a little bit longer and get more money and do the right thing for the city of Dunkirk.
Well, until they can come out here and decide what they're going to do, if they're going to do anything, is there any way someone could come out and either flag them or tag them that there is an issue there so that it's alerting boaters and jet skiers?
I'll use this forum to ask any city resident who's got a boat and willing to get close to these things and help flag them and maybe give me a GPS coordinate on them, to call me, 366-9832, and I'll work with you, and we'll try to do it in a private way. Sure.
Thanks, Randy.
Yep.
Look, that's, the only other thing I had was, it was Rebecca, but she's not here. It was, could she please get in contact with Mr. Pringle? And I know she is the one person that is. Down at the foot of Main Street, there's docks 22 and 23, plus a lot of other debris that's down there. It's his docks, and I don't believe, it's not a safety issue right at this point, so our guys should not have to go down there and remove them. He should be notified, and I don't know if I have to call Rebecca in the morning and possibly she could get a hold of him to do that. AJ?
She's on vacation until Monday.
Oh, okay, all right.
Make sure she does that.
But if any of our guys do have to go out for whatever reason, if they're pushed into going out, then I think Mr. Pringle should be billed for our guys doing the work for him when he has his own crews. And then the letter from, okay. Yes. Yep, and there's one at Wright Park. Yep.
So we can get a hold of Mr. Pringle and have him go and get those things.
If you need to take a walk down there, Mayor, or a ride down, there's so many pieces of docking that I don't know which storm they blew into, but they're just boom, 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 right up, and they're over the water, the walk path that's there. It's a disgusting mess.
Yeah, we made contact with his people and asked them to come pick them up, so we'll follow up.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Alan, Glenn, thank you from the lady on 6th Street for resolving her problem that she was having there. She is so excited. She can proceed with all her future backyard endeavors. I had a call from Denise Zenz before I came. She was called into duty yesterday and today, and the Chief Ortolano will attest to this. She went to a house, and this house has over 50 cats in it, and a lot of their feces, 3 dogs. The house is condemned, I think Alan knows, and she was just wondering if there was something that the city could do as far as the amount of cats that were allowed per household. And I said, I think that has to go through, and I talked with Don, through the state for licensing, and that's a long process. I don't know what else to tell her, but she did get a hold. The woman is in a hospital in Buffalo. She signed off on her responsibility with the cats, and Denise went through the Chautauqua Humane Society, and they're going to go in and clean it all out with all the critters and everything, whether they have 2 or 3 vans. So I don't know if she's going to contact somebody to get, with all that smell in there, it was just, it took her breath away, some kind of a ventilator or the shield that the firemen use just to get into the house to clean it up. She said there's probably about 1 foot deep of droppings from the cat, and they're all intermingled. They all mass-produced within each other. So I don't know how the city can handle a situation with this. I know there was another one a few years back at a trailer park by my house. I don't know where to go with it. And then the last thing I have is the letter that went out by the mayor and Richard to the tenants on the boardwalk of having many vehicles parking. I think a more strong letter needs to be handled and given to them because they're not abiding by it at all. They laugh. It's a joke to them. To some. Oh, here comes the mayor again. Okay, well.
So I was talking to Councilman Stoyl today about that issue. We sent the letter out. Now we'll go back and talk to them. The next step will be to let the patrols know that they're supposed to have just one. If there's complaints, we'll ask them to move it, and if they still don't move them, then we'll start ticketing them or towing them. Is that okay?
Sure. And the last item, which is a sore thumb in Mr. Williams's, Mr. Stoyles, I can tell everybody, all the council, is the abuse of the parking on the grass by people at the point, at Wright Park. As I say to Mr. Williams, I said, how would they like it if we found out where they lived and parked on their front yard? They wouldn't like it. It just, they just don't listen. And if there's nobody in the vehicle, I still think they should have a ticket placed on it. I mean, in-state, out-of-state, I don't care. They're abusing our property. Yeah, I know. I talked to Officer Pagan, and he's quite good at that. Yes, he is. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. Well, the good news is, Randy, I have nothing for you tonight. How's that? Probably a sigh of relief. EJ, did you want to mention something about the youth program that you guys got run to the camp?
Sure. I can do that real quick. You have one with you? Okay.
So, as everybody knows, we unfortunately had to cancel Camp Gross this past season because of the COVID. We were actually able to get some guidance from the state kind of last minute. So I know the mayor and the city were really disappointed we couldn't do anything for the kids this summer, but we were able to put something together with the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Chautauqua County. They have the staff in the program, we had the space, so it was a great collaboration. So starting next week, July 13th through August 20th, we're doing a 6-week program. It's 2-week sessions at a time. It's running 9 to 4. We're doing it at the old fireman's grounds at the point, so we could spread the kids out and do the program properly, where we can have the kids all out amongst the park and keep the groups away from each other. So it was great that the city had the space, the Boys and Girls Club had the program, and the staff to help do that. So we're really excited to offer that. It's 9 to 4 Monday through Thursday. There's a max of 60 kids that are doing it. It's ages 5 through 14. And you can register at the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Chautauqua County website, or also call the club 366-1061. So we're excited to do this. Again, I would get on board as quickly as you can if anybody's interested, but slots are filling up quick. But again, we're really excited to offer this and have the kids be able to get out of the house and stay safe and do some fun things this summer. So just wanted to make sure that was out there. It's on the city website as well if you want to check it out. But thanks.
Thanks, CJ. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple other brief things. It would probably be wrong for not to mention what's going on outside City Hall tonight as far as the protest. But as far as I'm concerned, everybody has that right to do that. You know, whether you agree with us or disagree with us, there's a difference between bullying and disagreeing. We have strong heads, strong minds, being a council and being involved, the mayor, and being involved in politics, period. And if some of you people really thought about that and looked at it instead of being on social media, maybe you should step up and run for office and see how easy it is. But I just want to say that personally, the slams that I've been getting for bullying and being a racist is just so far from the truth. And a lot of you people know me in here and served with me. That's baloney. But I know that one of our county legislators' wives are starting this. I don't have all the information yet, but by next council meeting, I will let her have it and give her a piece of my mind. But the other thing is that, like I said, we're going to disagree. There's no doubt about it. And you don't have to like me. You don't have to get along with me. But at the end result is we're trying to do the best for the residents of the city of Dunkirk. All right? Thanks. And one other thing I want to mention tonight is that we have to ratify, I rescinded a permit, loudspeaker permit on 11 Lakefront Boulevard. What this is all about, another thing that we're getting blasted on, and I take full responsibility of this too, is that the person that filled out the permit went outside the permit. He falsified his records. He was saying that he was having a band rehearsal on the front deck of his house, which we okayed, the council. What ended up to be 6 bands, a tent, different parking, authorized parking. It was just for safety reasons down there with the wall being broke and being in disarray. I called Chief Yanni and rescinded this. So my advice to you for another year and a half. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Chief Yanni, yeah. Sorry, Chief Ortolano, my bad. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to come up here, just be honest with the council and ask us, tell us exactly what we're going to do, because if we'll probably agree with you 99% of the time. But if you do something shady like this, we will rescind it and we will revoke it. And it's going to be tough for you to come up here again in another year and a half and ask me to okay something for you. All right? Thanks. So with that being said, I was advised by the city clerk that we have to vote on the ratification for this like we did with Police Chief Ortolano. So, clerk?
If I may, do you need somebody to make that motion, sir?
I think that we could just make the motion. Does anyone want to sponsor that motion? Stoyle?
Second.
Second by Williams.
Looks it means it's Williams.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenhoeven?
Aye, carried. Tom, would you like to say something? Tom Leschko?
Yeah. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of questions about the assessor's job. Contrary to some people's belief, it is a full-time job. You should be in the office your normal, regular hours. Just because you're elected doesn't mean you can come and go as you please. If you're elected or appointed to that position, you're supposed to meet with the taxpayers, explain to them why they can't or can have what they want. You just don't leave it to your assistant. For my years was Molly, who probably knew more than I did, but it still wasn't right. And whoever takes over now shouldn't heap that on Gracie, because she's going to be going through a learning curve. So you're supposed to be there to work with and for the people that put you in the office. Period. Some people have the idea just because it's elected, I can come and go as I please. Well, then you're not doing the job right, and get the hell out now. On to a second note. Molly, what the hell can you say? 51 years of service. You don't see that anymore. She's dedicated. She was dedicated. She hung in there for 13 years with me. She was my right-arm girl. Can't thank her enough. But on a sad note, I think it was a little embarrassing that the top elected official couldn't stop by and say congratulations or thank you for your effort. But anyway, Mal, thank you, congratulations, good luck, and enjoy your retirement.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to unfinished business.
Number 75, resolution for intro number 6 to local law number 6-2020, City of Dunkirk, a local law to amend City Code, Chapter 56, Section 2040, 2060, 3010, and 3030.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl. Aye. Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenhoeven.
Aye, carried. Pre-filed resolutions, number 76.
Resolution authorizing budget line modifications for fiscal year 2020.
Any discussion, council?
Yeah, want to make a motion to amend it by taking out in the first line the law department retained counsel line, and then take out underneath the total in the law department retained counsel line also there, and then officially add to this underneath the total personnel services, personnel, not personal, personnel services through the law department, and that would be adding 7,500 to it. And then, what are we doing there? Adding to the, we might need Marcia to clear this one up. The general service contingencies, we'd be adding another, taking out of there and adding to the budget, 2,240.34. And if everybody's got the paper that we did and made the copy, that makes it a little bit easier to understand what I just said.
Okay.
So I make a motion to make that amendment.
By Williams, seconded by Bomano.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried. Motion to vote on. Need a motion to vote on the budget, on the line itself, resolution
I make a motion.
by
Nicholas?
I'll second.
seconded by Bomano. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. Don?
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
Number 77, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute contract with Travelers Insurance.
Any discussion, council?
Just like I had in the workshop, just to make sure that with the amount that's actually going, being up in a whereas instead of a resolved, if we're good with that, if Richard could just clarify that.
Sure. It's just the second whereas the proposal from Travelers through Raleigh is $304,300. That is the amount of premium that we'll be approving.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
Number 78, resolution authorizing the creation of a reserved veterans parking spot in City Hall parking lot.
I wanted to revise this to add entire council on this.
I'll make a motion that we add, amend it to say entire council.
By
Second.
Williams, second by Bomano.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
And you're gonna-
Yep, need a motion to vote on this resolution. By Bomano.
Nichols.
Second by Nichols. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
Number 79, resolution for ratification of management confidential paralegal position creation. Amended. This is we need to amend it first, sir?
This is for the paralegal
Yes.
position? Okay. Need a motion to amend.
Make that motion.
I
By
second
Williams, second by Nichols. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
it. Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried. Motion to accept.
Council,
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
speak
ahead.
on this before?
Yep. Any discussion? I'm sorry.
Okay. This is a resolution that I worked out with Councilman Williams, with the unions. We both had a little conversation over 9/12/2693, and we talked with both of our union heads out of Buffalo, and they got together in a conference call with Councilman Williams, and we worked out the details about it. And Mike Propiglia, who is the chairman of the city 2693, and we worked it on. I think this is a great win for us in the city of Dunkirk. Gives a little protection in the job going forward.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else?
I was just gonna ask if, since we did amend it, if we could just read it as amended before we actually vote on the resolution as amended. So if the clerk could read the entire amended resolution so that we know for sure what we're voting on and it's on the record.
May I speak now?
Yeah, absolutely, go ahead.
Great. Okay. I just really wanted to come up and reiterate some things that the mayor has been talking about, and that is our potential huge deficit of over $1 million. I know since our finance committee meeting, I have really been doing some analysis, and I've sat down with the mayor, and actually Mark and I are going to sit down, and it's really getting kind of scary. And so I guess I look at this resolution, and I'm thinking, we don't really need to spend not a single dollar that isn't budgeted for right now. Our taxpayer dollars are so precious right now with everything that's going on in COVID, and our revenue is just, every day I learn about something new. Today, Chief Orlando told me that we may not be getting all of our monies from our courts, okay? I mean, every single day, and Mark, I don't know if you have anything you want to add, but I just really implore you to think twice about every single dollar, because we are looking at possibly having to, borrow for our deficit. I mean, thank God we have such a good fund balance. I mean, we're much better off than a lot of our surrounding municipalities, but still, we're looking at possibly having to raise taxes. I mean, that'll be up to the mayor, of course, but I mean, it's really getting to be a desperate situation. So I just implore you to really think twice about spending any more money than we already are.
Would this be on just this particular one, or from everyone, like the last 6 people you guys hired?
Pardon me?
Or the part-timers and the other positions that they filled?
Well, there's a reason why the part-timers haven't been called back as early, because, we're looking at a point where we're not going to have enough money to pay our bills at this point. Our cash flow will be totally strained. And again, it's overtime. We all have overtime, right? But Mr. Woodbury is trying to keep it to just emergent needs. I know we want everything fixed, we want everything beautiful. I do too. But we just simply don't have the funds right now. And we have to understand that with all the COVID, with our revenues being down probably over $1 million, that we really, really need to be so careful with what we spend. So I just wanted to make sure everybody really understood. That's a big figure. Initially I thought, okay, with everything that's not happening, we could save about $250,000. But we're still looking at $750,000 in a deficit. So I just implore you to think twice about spending any unnecessary taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
I'm not going to the microphone, I just want to back up 100% what Marcia was pointing out. We talked about it repeatedly, and we need to look at it very carefully.
Okay, thanks.
They bought the Stearns building. Judge.
I believe he wants to read this.
Yeah, do you still want him to read this then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Resolution number 79-2020, July 7, 2020, by council members Bamanto, Nichols, Stoyles, and Williams, ratification of creation of management confidential position paralegal. Whereas starting in September 2017, the Law Department and Personnel Department worked together with the Chautauqua County Civil Service Office to draft a management confidential paralegal job description to differentiate it from ASME 912 legal secretary position. And whereas such position with no common council authorization was approved and set forth $40,000 and 0 cents per annum and 35 hours per year or per week, and including a benefit package that tracked the AFSCME 912 member benefits package. And whereas such paralegal position was posted for candidates and was ultimately filed with no common council authorization or approval on November 17th, and whereas in order to comply with all appropriate civil service laws, rules, and regulations necessary for the common council to create such position, with the compensation provided to the incumbent employee, and in order to properly classify the paralegal position in the USW Local 2693-04 bargaining unit, which is more appropriate, and to have a paralegal position. The appropriate compensation and benefits as per CBA between the city and USW Local 2693-04. And whereas now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council hereby ratifies the 2017 creation of the job title paralegal with the USW Local 2693-04 bargaining unit, And be it further resolved that the council authorizes the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement with USW on behalf of USW Local 2693-0-04 to change the recognition clause of the current CBA to include the title management confidential paralegal, as well as any and all further created management confidential titles. And there be it further resolved that Alexandra Hammond, the incumbent paralegal, is entitled to the compensation and benefits as per the appropriate collective bargaining agreement with USW Local 2693-04. Such compensation salary shall be set at $47,500 and shall be entitled to be credited with the time served, the incumbent served while misclassified, tracking the ASTME Local 912 member benefit package. And be it further resolved that any further vacancies in this position will follow Chapter 6 of the Dunkirk City Charter. Chapter 6 of the Dunkirk City Charter, Section 6.02. The city attorney shall, subject to the civil service law rules and regulations, appoint such assistants and other employees of the department to fill such positions within the department as authorized by the Common Council. The city attorney also may suspend and remove any assistants and other employees of the department subject to civil service law, and be it finally resolved that such council authorization will be through resolution at a Common Council meeting.
Richard? Yes, thank you, Councilman Large. Just a few points of clarification. One is that while my paralegal is certainly deserving of a raise, just want to know for the record that we weren't a part of this discussion until it was presented to us. It was unsolicited, so just didn't want to see that. I have had that discussion with her, and while she's certainly deserving of the raise, given the current COVID crisis, and I just told her to keep that in mind. Secondly, there's a line in here in this modified version that there was no Common Council authorization or approval. That's false. We've had this discussion. It was approved through the budget resolutions of 2017, 18, 19, of which I have certified copies, where they were either all in favor or they were 4-1 carries with Councilman Williams in the ayes, as well as Councilman Mano, who were on council at that time. Third, I do welcome and appreciate the idea of the collaboration that we had working with the unions, the bargaining units, to do the management confidential carve-out. When we created the position, we weren't aware that that was an option, but that's been made aware to us, and I did work with folks on both sides, and we're certainly open to that. But again, I am sensitive to what Marcia and Mark discussed. I mean, the timing is a little bit curious. Again, it's 3 years out. It'll be 3 years in November that she's been with me. I don't understand it, but again, it wasn't solicited. I just wanted that noted for the record.
Okay, thank you. Mayor?
I just want to, for the record, voice my opinion on this. I am totally against this. Again, nothing against the individual in question here. The fact that this council has met, discussed this without including our city treasurer, our city fiscal affairs officer, or our city mayor is in my opinion, wrong. Two, to give a $7,500 raise to an individual here today is something that should be discussed at a finance committee meeting. It impacts our budget. Not only will it impact it this year with that raise, but also by placing her into the union, she will then be entitled to an annual salary increase with the union contract that she'll be going into. I also feel very strongly that it is a conflict of interest for the city, the management confidential positions. With the mayors that I've talked to, this position here will be involved in learning and having very sensitive and confidential information as we negotiate contracts with different unions, including the one this individual will be a part of. That is, in my opinion, a disservice to our city taxpayers. I must remind all of you that you are here supposed to be representing the city taxpayers and not the unions. And in my opinion, you have done a disservice if you will pass this resolution, a disservice to our city taxpayers. And I want that for the record because I know that you will beat the veto, you'll override it, but I do plan to veto this. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other discussion, council? Yeah.
Just say, during COVID, we also gave a raise to the development director, and there was no concern about a budget then, so I think that given this person a raise from what she was put at in 2017 and what she's earned is still what she was put in at 2017, I believe that this is the right and fair thing to do with an employee with the city of Dunkirk and put them into a bargaining unit like this and have them track that. And they could have always signed a card to be part of a union when they were tracking the local 912. So I don't see an issue with this. The money's there. We just did it. We actually took it out of a line from where we put the money from 2 other positions that we eliminated back in January. So really this still doesn't have a bad effect on this budget right here. And like I said, we did just unanimously, with support of everybody, pass a raise for the development director, 2-3 meetings ago. Also, the idea of saying that I didn't talk about it at the finance committee meeting, but I did talk with the fiscal affairs officer about it. She has not said a single thing to me about what she said today in front of us at this meeting when I sat with her in her office for about 20 minutes when we were trying to figure out where the money would come from. And then also I've been in contact back and forth with the city attorney, so the city attorney was aware of this. We were going back and forth, Councilman Bomano and I, and the city attorney, along with people from the District 4 office for the United Steelworkers. I apologize, Mark, that I didn't talk to you about it too, but I mean, other than you, I did talk to 2 of the 3 that I was told just now that I didn't talk to. So we did talk to everybody. I think it's a good idea, and I think we need to move forward and call a question on this.
I'm going to close it up at that. Everyone knows where everybody stands on this issue. Thank you for everybody for their, support against, and whoever votes on it for, we'll go with that. All right. Okay, you got my resolution. So.
I'm sorry?
You got my resolution I gave you.
Yeah.
That'd be 79.
I think we just need to call a roll on it.
Yeah, I gave Edwin just a copy to make for him, for himself.
79?
That's it. That's it. Okay, I need a motion to accept the ratification and creation of the management confidential position.
I make a motion.
By Nichols, second by Bamanto. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenberg.
Aye, carried.
Number 80, resolution authorizing $1,500 stipend for IT support liaison, Sergeant Manzella.
Yeah, this is something I created probably about 3 months ago, or what was it, since the COVID started. Dan's been exceptional. He's helped us, even with you guys over here too. I want to say thank you. And he's come in on weekends, set all the Zoom meetings up, and on his own time. So I think this is a great thing for him, and I appreciate all the hard work he's done. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do.
Sorry.
I was just wondering if the city attorney and the fiscal affairs officer wanted to come up and speak against this too for $1,500, or you okay with this one? What?
Okay.
It was budgeted for doing this? We knew this last year that we were going to increase it?
So this is an increase of 1,500?
Yeah. I just want to be consistent with, with the objections of it. So if you're still objecting to spending money, then you're objecting to spending money. I believe that Sergeant Manziel has been doing a fine job, and for those that don't know, he's also been working very hard behind the scenes to set up the new computer system, actually not computer system, but the online presence for the City of Dunkirk's website, and I guess also updating the computer system so that we could finally get to a point where we can actually pay our bills online for some of the things that we have out there that the city residents have to pay for. So he did put a lot of extra effort into doing these IT issues this year, and I believe it's well worth the money, and I actually think it's a bargain.
Thank you. Any other discussion, council? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenbroek?
Aye, carried.
Number 81, resolution for North County Water District contract amendment approval.
Richard, do you want to say, or we have a couple people here from the county, from the water district?
Yes, thank you, Councilman at Large. I invited Kathy Tampico, who's clerk to the county legislature and also serves as sort of the admin support for the North County Water District, and also Dick Pearl, the town supervisor of the town of Dunkirk, who's also chair of the North County Water District Board. And essentially, this amendment doesn't change the essential relationship of Dunkirk as sole provider over the next 40 years up until 2055. What it does is provide backup plans essentially for the local municipalities who are tied in the interconnects, so that if any one person or one municipality can't serve the water needs, somebody else can jump in and help out. And that was strongly encouraged by the health department, both at the county and the state level. They can speak to that as well. And then the second plus of this is with those interconnects in place, that provides an opportunity both for the water district to grow and bring in more users, which means more usage for the city of Dunkirk, more revenue. And also the city of Dunkirk then through those interconnects can also directly negotiate with other end users who aren't part of the North County Water District and increase revenue that way too, which would help us offset the coming loss of the pilot revenue from the power station.
How is Fredonia still on, is Fredonia thinking about being on board or getting on board, or?
That I'm aware of, they're still not part of the Water District original contract.
Right.
So this is just sort of a carve-out that allows for us to back them up and for them to back us up if there's ever any shortage.
Okay. Thanks.
And also, with this whole thing here, where the meter pits are, we had to install several of them, everything that left the city of Dunkirk into the town. If anything is ever done with any of those like that, it has to be joint knowledge of everybody else. And what's nice about this here too is if, like Richard was saying, with the water, if it's not only going to help if the city can't give us the water, but it's use our lines to help other areas like Silver Creek or Westfield or the other areas over there. We worked on this for a while. We just wanted to get that in there. There was a few things that were stricken there before, and one of it was Town of Pomfret was kind of had their hands tied with Fredonia. This kind of opens it up.
Good.
So if it doesn't work for them with Fredonia, they've got other options.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay?
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
Mrs. Tampio, anything?
I think our chairman took care of that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you, Richard. Yes.
Can we just have Randy explain like he did at the Finance Committee meeting about the difference between those two connections and the connection that isn't part of the North County Water District that's on Vineyard?
Sure, Councilman. The main interconnect between, should it ever be needed, and it's been needed in the past and with a lot of water, is on Vineyard Drive. It's a small pump station by the DAV railroad tracks crossing Vineyard Drive. Fredonia is spending a lot of money rebuilding those pumps. We want to revisit that to make sure that the sales there would be according to the contract that Mark would work on, so I think it's something we want to revisit with the Finance Committee and something like that, but that is the most robust connection, and it would really, that would be where Fredonia could be helped the most. These other connections are really what I would call capillary connections versus artery connections, and they are recommended by Mr. Paul Snyder, the Director of Environmental Health for the county. Wherever you see two water lines close together, he wants them connected, just in case. And I'm sure that happens with other infrastructure, with other electric lines and things like that, that you got some kind of backup, that you could throw switches or whatever. And there just is, in fact, one of the capillaries was used. There was a major water break in Brockton a while ago, and they had to feed water between two hydrants. So the water from Fredonia through Pomfret did it, and through Portland actually got into the village of Brockton, where we are the sole supplier for a short period of time while they were working on their break. There was no stipulated process for doing that, but nobody would have said no. The people in Brockton and the people in the prison, they need water. So it was a short period of time. This formalizes that type of thing. We hope that any kind of emergencies aren't going to happen, but they're going to happen. So this, and then in terms of the major connection, that's on Vineyard Drive. That's not what we're talking about tonight. These are capillary connections that would be for emergency use, and now we have a process to do that. We've also inserted some language that protects us at those 10 or 11 master meters. We have a 40-year contract. Not everybody's going to be here for another 40 years. So we have, anybody's going to be here 20 years from now is going to be able to read the contract and say, you can't turn that bypass around the master meter and not meter it. It doesn't specifically say that right now in the contract. The contract will be revised so that the district is getting something, the city's getting something we've always understood, but now it's formalized.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
Number 82, resolution authorizing shared services agreement with Dunkirk City Schools.
Yeah, this is something that Councilman Romano and myself have been working with the city school district and the school board superintendent, school board president Dave D'Amico. It's been very, very helpful. Bobby Cotta, Tim Abbey. It's just nice to see the shared services and a good relationship between the school and the city, and for our youth and for the adult softball and the fields and everything. So it's a good thing. Marty, you want to mention anything?
Sure. Just a couple things. What we're doing at School 7 with the shared services with the school, we've been doing things like this for years and years and years. This field needed dirt badly, and that's for the whole community, boys and girls, youth through adult, senior citizens. And
You're looking at me.
with this dirt that we're going to put in there, it's going to cost the city of Dunkirk out of the CEAS fund $1,500 that we're sharing with the school district. And that dirt will, at that field, that'll last 8 to 10 years, possibly 12 years, so we'll be long gone by then. So I think this is a great deal for the city and for the youth and for the adults.
Awesome. Thanks. Anyone else? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer?
Aye, carried.
83's been pulled.
83 is pulled. New business. Any new business? I do have one, Roger. I'll get with you and Lillian. I'd like to schedule a personnel committee on the 27th of Monday, the 27th of this month.
It's crazy how fast.
Monday?
Yeah, I was just looking at your calendar, you sent me, I think that was open, so, 7 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, let's do, can we do 5:30? 5:30 is good.
What day?
It'd be Monday the 27th, July. Yeah. That'd be 5:30, I'm sorry, 5:30 on the 27th, it'd be Monday.
Get your hand ready for that motion.
All right, seeing no other new business, I need a motion to adjourn.
Stoyl.
By Stoyl,
Nichols.
seconded by Williams.
Councilmember Williams?
Do I look like
Councilmember
Williams?
Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Stoyl?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vandenboer.
Aye, carried. Thank you, everyone.